Hello everyone. I hope you all are taking care of yourself and you should be sanitized so that you should stay healthy and safely at your homes. So today is the second class of our history lesson. So we are going to I'm going to teach you here the historians and their sources. That is what is the next topic, and I hope that you must have revised or you have been through the last topic that we were discussing. So it's a Okay, so it's a request that before moving on further, kindly understand the topic that has been already taught to you. Okay, so we are going to talk here particularly about historians and their sources. First of all, if I tell you that what do you understand by the term sources? So I would give you an example for a better understanding of the term. Say, for example, if I ask you that what are the sources of studies for you right now? So it must be on your tips that there are teachers, there are books, laptop, internet, phones through which you can get a connectivity to the internet, and you can get the informations that are needed. Okay, so these are the sources. So sources are what? Sources are basically, when we are talking about sources are the places from where a particular information or a thing is obtained or it originates from. In the same way, when we talk about the sources of history, definitely neither you or I was born at that point of time, because when we are discussing about 1,000-year changes, so neither of us were born at that point of time. So definitely there must be some of the sources, some of the places, some of the things from where that particular information has been originated from. So before I share my screen to you, I would request that you should that you should take out your notebook and jot down the important points. In the meantime, you can take it out. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so okay, so we are particularly going to talk about historians and their sources. So there are few sources of history from where do we actually there are few sources from where do we come to know about history. Like manuscripts are there, inscriptions are there, coins are there, maps are there. So these are particularly the sources of information from where do we come to know about our past. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so before I start with the term manuscripts, just tell me, do you know that there were no printing press at that point of time? When we are talking about the period of 700 to 1750, we should not be at all shocked that there were no printing press, because technology was, we cannot say technology was completely omitted from that particular era, but then it was the initiation of the technology was taking place. So this is one of the facts that we must know about. There were no printing press in those days. So basically now the question comes that how do the sources have been derived. So these, particularly the manuscripts or the textual records, were handwritten. So these were written by the scribes. Scribes are the people who used to write, who used to copy by the hand. Okay, so they were the people who were copying by the hand. So we should not say that scribes were somewhere the people who were we should not say that the scribes were very, very common people who were specially located across every regions, because definitely writing at that particular point was an art and it was not gifted to everyone. Definitely the one who adopts or who was inborn with the talent, that was also okay, or either they practice or develop it over the years. So scribes were the people who used to write those manuscripts or those textual records which we find today. And uh, these are one of the very, very important sources of history which are included. So if I take you to the example, or if I give you an example, that is, uh, if I move on to the next slide, just a minute. Yes, if I give you a task that, suppose you were absent for 1 week in the school, now you need to submit the copy on the after 2 to 3 days. What you are going to do? 1 week work in just 2 days, you cannot complete it very easily. So definitely you will be panic, or you would, in order to avoid, now what you will do, you will borrow a copy from your friend, and what will you do? You'll start copying the materials that were given at that point of time in those week, in that particular week. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to copy those things. Now the question comes that there cannot be connectivity with the friend for 24 into 7 hours, so you're not going to ping him every point of time. So definitely there might be, if suppose if your friend is having a bad handwriting, or the words which he has written is you cannot understand, then definitely you will introduce some of the changes in those particular writings. So definitely what was originally written by your friend and what you have written, both will become different from one another, because you have already introduced changes with the words which you have not understood well. So definitely there would be introduction of changes. You might write certain words like here to there, or the spellings could be changed, the meaning could be entirely changed or entirely different. So that is why whatever even the historians used to copy, they also initiate or introduce some of the changes, because the records which was existing in the past might have a different perception as per the writer or a scribe, who might have understood in his own ways. And definitely the two period article or the written material becomes substantially different from one another. Okay, now what happens, that I've already shared, what happens when a scribe copy a manuscript. Anyone who copies a particular source of information or a text record, he will likely to introduce changes for the words he has not understood. Text will become different, and they will often find the meaning of even the words, and the entire text material would become different. Do you know there was a chronicler who introduced changes in his own chronicle? Say for example, if I tell that if you are asked to write or copy from your class 4th notebook, and right now you are in class 7, so after 3 years from now, from that time, what will happen? There might be certain words which you have written in a different way, in a different font. Even you are not able to realize that whatever you have written was actually is existing or not, or it is, if it is existing, does it carry any sense or not? So you might not understand your own handwriting, and you will introduce a lot many change in your own copy. So we'll find that the two texts became different. In the same way, there is an example of a chronicler, that was Ziauddin Barani. He wrote his own, he wrote his chronicle 2 years before, and then when he copied from the same chronicle 2 years after, he introduced the changes in his own handwritten chronicle. So you can understand very well that how the introduction of changes was possible. Okay, and you know that these manuscripts or the textual records were very rare in those times, because obviously if we are maintaining that 1,000 years or 1,000 years record, then definitely it is not a matter of joke. So people store all this particular information or the written textual records in archives or the library, which were the places where all the important informations were stored. I hope you must have understood it well. So kindly refer to your textbook, and we are going to discuss the next topic in the next class. Thank you very much.